Hello, gentlemen. Today's podcast is created specifically for you. We are talking strategy on one of my favorite nursing topics, human sexuality and reproduction. Dun, dun, dun. So, if you want to learn even more about us females, listen to episode 15 right after this. It'll even be more specific for us ladies. For you, I wanted to go a little more high level on the hormones, but I think you're going to really enjoy it. So, okay, going back to you. One thing I love about most men is their strategic side. And I'll assume you do too, from my research and observation, that you have a bit of strategy in you. Whether it's grilling steaks, organizing a garage, playing sports, maybe some fantasy football, planning your next fishing trip, or crushing it at work, strategy is all about timing and making the right moves. Now, what if I told you that understanding your hormones and hers, whether it's your wife, girlfriend, mother, daughters, sisters, friends, you name it, knowing yours and hers is one of the best strategies you can have for deeper connection, better intimacy, and fewer misunderstandings. Today, we're diving into the world of testosterone, women's cycles, and how playing the right moves at the right time can completely change the game. This is a playbook you'll want to know. Welcome back to Off Limits on Elle Daily, the podcast where love, biology, and humor collide. I'm your host, Elle, and today's episode is all about strategy for men. Have you ever wondered why some days feel full of connection and energy while others like emotional chaos? You might be thinking, how do I even begin to understand this? We're going to talk about how your testosterone drives confidence and leadership, how understanding her hormonal phases, especially her superpower phase during ovulation, can help you connect better, and how to make the most of your relationship by recognizing the right plays. I say that with quotes for the right game days, also in quotes. Whether you're a husband, boyfriend, single guy, or even a dad, this episode is packed with insights you can use. All right, so let's talk about timing. Timing is everything, and we're going to start with the ladies first. So, women's hormones, there are 4 phases of her menstruation cycle. But guys, before we really get into how the strategy comes in, I want to set the stage. So think of it like this. If you are a fantasy football fan, you wouldn't play your top receiver when he's injured, right? You would put him on the bench or you'd trade him out. I'm in fantasy football and I know that I have to do that quite often. I'm always adjusting my team, my players. Timing matters. Or let's say you're a big fisherman, or maybe you're one that takes, my nephew loves to fish. So I know for when my dad or brothers take him out, he's got a different bait for every fish he's trying to go after and different timing of the day. They also have different locations of the lake. So it's all about the right bait, the right catch at the right time. So putting that little analogy into understanding the menstruation cycle and the phases, this isn't just helpful. This is an absolute strategic advantage for you. Here's the fun part. Think of it as a monthly game plan. So the cycle typically is roughly 28 days. I'll dive into that. Every month, you get to figure out how to work with the feminine energy, not against it. It's a little like preparing for your next fishing trip or big game. You're testing the waters, learning what works, what doesn't, and building a playbook that sets you up for success. The more you learn and understand, the better your chances are to thrive. And I think it's so important to really come together this way. So here's the playbook, guys. Each phase of the cycle brings out a different strength and needs. So this game plan, I want to say the best hormone for us women, what we really thrive on is estrogen. So the more estrogen, the better we're doing. Our moods are better. We're going to feel, more frisky. We're going to want to be more intimate, especially in the ovulation phase. And that's when our estrogen is the highest. We're more creative. It makes us feel good. Our bones are good. Everything's working well when there's loads of estrogen. When a woman gets into perimenopause or menopause, that's when her estrogen is a lot lower. And you'll often hear they're on estrogen supplements or replacement therapy. So just remember, estrogen is golden to us women, where for you men, testosterone is golden. Us women do get some testosterone in there. And actually, in the ovulation stage, there is a surge of testosterone, which is why we are feeling a little bit more frisky for you and would want to receive you more. And I'll dive into that too in just a second. I want to set the stage here though. So when our estrogen is high, we will be high. We'll be happy. Um, And again, it's just our thriving time. So remember that high estrogen, women are thriving. High testosterone for you men, that's when you're going to be at your best. And I'm not saying such high testosterone that you're getting the injections, right? Those steroid injections, not that type, but the good built solid testosterone that you can build, which I'm going to talk about at the very end. So again, we're doing ladies first. So let's break this down, and I'm going to keep it simple for you because this is really just 4 phases, roughly 28 to sometimes some women are longer. We can say up to 32, and I'm still a plus or minus with those because all of us ladies are so different. But think of the first phase of the menstrual phase is actually her menses. This is the time where she is shedding her lining, shedding the uterine lining. So her energy levels are naturally low. Her hemoglobin is probably lower. She's probably going to have a lot of different cravings you'll see. So there's a lot of physical signs that you can see when a woman is menstruating because she's naturally a bit more tired, maybe irritable. Her emotional connection is lower, less drive and motivation. And this is a time where you definitely don't want to plan a really sexy, fun date or maybe a time to avoid going on a fun cruise or vacation. And she'll know this as well. The woman that you're with will know this, or the women in your life will definitely know this. But for if you're a dad and you've got teenage girls, this is something you're going to want to consult with them and try to avoid this phase of a trip. This is when she needs more rest and support. Okay, so how about I do this? I'm going to step back and just say the 4 phases. So your menstrual phase is the shedding of the lining, uterine lining, the bleeding phase. The follicular phase is when her energy is starting to go back up. That's day 6 to 14-ish. That first phase of the menstrual phase can be anywhere from 1 to 5 days. Typically, some are less, some are even more than 5 days. Oh, I feel for them. Um, and then the third phase is our best phase. That's the ovulatory phase or the ovulation phase. Roughly, the books will tell you 15 to 18 days. I know that this isn't even correct for me because I'm about 12 to 16. So again, you're going to have to start to find out what the ladies in your life are. But this is our peak connection time, peak intimacy time. And then the final phase is that luteal phase where things are changing again. The estrogen starts to drop, progesterone is kind of a mid phase, and that's promoting a little calmness and nesting. But this is almost as you get towards the end of the luteal phase, is where you're in that PMS, when you hear the PMS, pre-menstrual phase, right? So let me just now take it back again to kind of explain these hormones. I've already touched on the menstrual phase where the estrogen is very low, leading to the fatigue and the low energy, and they're needing to build their estrogen. So there's ways that you can even help with this. When a woman has low estrogen, she'll want to feel more nurtured. So, and you can ask her, maybe she doesn't want to be touched too. Every woman's so different. So I know it's like you're going to have to build the map for the ladies in your life. But in general, most, to build up their estrogen, you could draw them a hot bubble bath. You could provide them with some chocolate. You could grill them a steak if they're meat eaters. If they're not meat eaters, maybe a lot of spinach that day. Make them a nice spinach smoothie. Um, and then their oxytocin is a little bit lower. So their happy side, a little bit less emotional connection for them. So might even just be giving them that space. Their testosterone is also lower at this point. So they're going to have a little less drive and motivation. So time of rest, remember that. So then follicular phase 2, roughly 6 to 14 days, starting to have a little more energy, a little more engagement. Estrogen is rising steadily, leading to this increased energy, a little more optimistic, some clarity, mental clarity. Our progesterone is still a little low here. And this is allowing that estrogen to dominate and boost the creativity and the focus. So it's a good thing because it's bringing that estrogen up to prepare for the ovulation phase. And this is where the follicular phase really means this is kind of cool. The science and the biology of it is amazing. It's definitely, I'm just fascinated. You think about women, we have the ability to create a miracle. We have the ability to hold a baby in our womb, which is pretty amazing. So the phase during this follicular phase is really about growth and renewal, and they will feel almost their best during this time more open to ideas and experience. And then the ovulation phase comes in at around 15 to 18-ish, again, plus or minus. This is that peak connection I mentioned in intimacy because the estrogen peaks. It's amplifying their confidence. They're going to feel magnetic and attractive. This is when for most women, a man can walk by and if he smells good, she'll do a double take. You're just feeling a little more frisky. And what happens to the body specifically during the ovulation phase, she'll have more sensitivity to erogenous zones. So the foreplay is a lot more fun. So if you're one, sometimes you might want to be a quick connection, maybe especially in that follicular phase, but the ovulatory phase, time is fun when you're doing the the foreplay. She's going to enjoy it a lot more. You'll find that she's wetter down there. And this is again because if you're trying to create a baby, it carries the sperm up to fertilize the egg, right? When the sperm meets the egg, that's the reason to have this extra it's almost like a mucus that happens for the ovulation phase. And I know this might be too much information, but I think it's important for you to understand it. And then, like I said, the erogenous zones, the cervix will be a little bit harder. So she's able to orgasm easier. All sorts of goodness is happening here. And then on her creative side, of course, you're going to see that this is the time if you want to have a conversation or you want to go on a trip, really good time to do it. Or right at the follicular phase too, because if she will be able to create at this point if she's in her age bearing years. And then the luteal phase, let's talk a little more about this. This is where you're going to need to bring in some patience and kindness. Her estrogen is now dropping, leading to lower energy, a little bit more of the mood swings. This is where you do start to hear the PMS little note. I wouldn't ever say, "What are you PMSing?" That doesn't go over very well. This is more you just want to kind of provide that nurturing, that support. Um, and her oxytocin is lower to kind of declines towards the end of this. So she's reducing her emotional openness. Testosterone is also dropping, whereas her reduced libido and motivation, again, is going to be happening like it would be during the menses time. So this phase is really marked by introspection and preparation for menstruation. And definitely more sensitive. Self-care becomes essential here. And so because I know strategy resonates, let me kind of give you a funny personal example. So I haven't shared this on the podcast. If you follow my L Daily on YouTube, you know that I have had a hysterectomy. I won't go into all the details, but I'm in an early perimenopause. But even with the hysterectomy, they did leave my ovaries, and ovaries is what has most of our hormones besides the uterine aspect, which I don't have, but I still have those ovaries that secrete for the ovulation phase. And let me tell you, my hormones are still flowing. It is very prevalent. I'll even know, even though I don't get the menses or the period, I still have the surge where I'm losing that estrogen. I'm definitely more in the progesterone side and just feeling funky. So here's what will happen to me. And this is why I want to say never take things personal when we are in that premenstrual and that menstrual phase, because me even being single, just a career woman, if I'm in this phase, I'll tell you that I can lose my mind over the dumbest thing. Something as simple as a technology issue, maybe my Wi-Fi is acting up, or me turning the wrong way and all of a sudden my GPS is recalculating. Oh, I hate that. But most days, no big deal. No big deal at all. But on this menses day or premenstrual, it could just make me fly off the handle. I'll be so irritable and I might say something like a full on, motherfucker, I swear, I full on swear. So I'm just saying that, I'm a single career woman, no kids, no husband. So now imagine a woman that has a full-time career or she's a stay-at-home mom. And stay-at-home moms, they can never really get away if you think about it. The career mom can at least get away for a short time and then but I just think both of these women that have a full-time career at home or a full-time career away, they're always in the thick of it. The kids, the husband, the house, there's no escape. At least I can retreat, or some of us career women can without kids and husband can retreat and reset when needed. But a mom who's constantly surrounded by family doesn't have that luxury. So even if you're a son listening to this and you maybe you're a younger teenage boy at home and you know how your mom is doing, you can probably spot when she's in this menstruation or premenstrual time because she's going to be a lot more irritable. So that's just a time to give her some grace. So guys, if you are wondering why your wife, girlfriend, mom, close female friend seems to be in her loss of patience or out of nowhere just gets a little cranky, just think about the mental load that she's carrying, and add those hormonal shifts on top of it. Trust me, it's never personal. So the more that you can just think, okay, it's not about me, it's about her. She's just in that phase. It's the phase she's in right now, and she'll come right back around. I always like to say, us ladies, the sun is always out. It just might be a cloudy day, right? So just wait for the clouds to go or the rain to go. There's always sunshine there. The sun comes up, it rises every morning, and it sets every night. So I want to reassure you on that. So going back to the single career woman too, I want to focus on that. There is a time that a woman that is single will also need a little extra affection during that menstruation phase or not premenstrual phase because of her low estrogen. And even more so than maybe because, a mom has the love of her children giving her hugs and kisses or the husband. A woman that is strict career with living by herself, a solo woman, even though she can retreat on her own, it takes a little more effort to build that estrogen. So it might be, getting together with the girlfriends, taking a hot bubble bath, or going on a date. You could take her on a date if she's in the mood to get out and about. That will build her estrogen, but she may not feel as excited to get out and about because she might be a little more crampy and tired and irritable. So just something to think about. All right. So I know that was a lot, but I hope let me know if there's any questions. Write in the comments if you need any more details. I'm happy to provide that. But I want to go on to you. Let's talk about the men. So testosterone, this is your power play. And what's beautiful about you men is you balance us out. And I love that because we need you more than you realize. If we don't always share it, you are like our safety net, our safety zone. You can talk us out of crazy. I hate to use the word crazy. We're not crazy. It's just, you know, if you see us acting up a little bit, sometimes the best thing you can do is just reach out and hug us, just hold us. Or, just say, hey, honey, go upstairs, go take a bath. I'm gonna stay here with the kids. I've got this. Like I've got you covered. There's just a way that you just put us at ease. So, all right, let's get back to you then. So testosterone, it's your secret weapon. And you're much more stable than us with your hormones. Yes, you still have cycles, especially with the moon cycles, but testosterone fuels your energy, your drive, your confidence. When it's high, you are ready to lead, to take risks, to connect. But when it's low, you might feel a little tired, irritable, less motivated. So I want to kind of help you keep it in check. Here's your game plan here. So there's really 6 top aspects that I wrote down. There's a lot more, but I'm going to do a separate video on testosterone because I think it's so crucial to have this kind of locked and loaded. But um, first things first, research will tell you if you train like an athlete, doesn't have to be like you're going to the gym all the time, but not necessarily having to lift weights or do HIIT workouts. Those are great if you do that, but just stay active. So maybe you're getting outside to mow the lawn or chopping wood, getting out with your buddies to play some hockey. We do a lot of hockey here in Minnesota with the frozen ice in the winter or in the arenas. But yeah, get out with your boys. That builds testosterone. Physical activity is one of the best natural ways to boost testosterone. So make sure you're getting plenty of that every day. And rest. I know this is going to sound like a lot of sleep, but I'm going to try to encourage you to get it as often as you can, unless you have a newborn baby and you're helping out the missus. But aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality rest every night. And I know that sounds like a lot. I'm lucky to get 7, but the older I get, the more I really thrive on more. So, yes, I'm going to encourage you to get as much sleep as you can. It is definitely a healthy hormone producer or produces more of your testosterone. Feel your body. So the rich protein, lean protein, protein that is free from hormones or antibiotics, good healthy fats. Back in the day, I know when I was growing up, everything used to be fat free. We were even, gosh, we were using margarine. Do you remember margarine? Can't tell you the last time I've used margarine. So yeah, stay away from the bad oils, the olive oil is fantastic. That's a healthy, great fat. Butter, like I said, the meats, bacon even. But just avoid the fake oils, like I can't even think of the name right now, you guys. Canola. Canola oil is a big one to avoid, and high fructose corn syrup, big one to avoid. Zinc is a good one to add to your diet. So we'll leave it at that. Like I said, I'm going to do another video on this, but lean protein, healthy fats. Um, and that'll build strong foundation for you. Keep your stress at bay. The way you're going to do this is, well, first things first, I should say high cortisol levels from chronic stress can really suppress testosterone. So try to take that time to decompress with the activities we mentioned above. That's why workout is great. Or hobbies. I know this is where you can use um, golf or any of your hobbies to your advantage. Just tell your wife, honey, I got to build my testosterone up a bit. Get out and golf, go do your sports, spend time outdoors. And then this is really cool for men. Men do really well with meditation. Are you, because your mental clarity where you have maybe one or two thoughts versus us women that have multiple thoughts. And not that this is a good difference that we have. Women have a great multitasking ability, and maybe you envy our multitasking ability. But the reason meditation is crucial for you think about most men that are, or most monks, actually, all monks are men, aren't they, you guys? Yeah. So engage in your meditation or prayer. Regular meditation, spiritual practices can really help lower the cortisol levels and improve that mental clarity. And then this is something now that's really off limits. I debated on bringing it up, but I'm going to bring it up because I think it's crucial, especially this day and age. And I think first things first, I should say there's no guilt, no shame. I just want to make us all aware of it. So whether you're doing it or not, every man, whether dads, sons, uncles, mentors, should be aware of it. So please kind of listen in. And even for moms, if there's moms listening to this one, and you're raising your boys, I think this is so important to understand what's influencing them these days. And it's all about these activities that are spiking dopamine, but these quick spikes of dopamine don't always build up the testosterone and they can be really damaging to boys. And I'll tell you why. Men too, of course. So moderate dopamine spiking activities. Be mindful of excess video gaming, even such as like gambling. Everything in moderation, fine. But if you're doing excessive video gaming, pornography consumption, these activities may feel rewarding in the moment initially, but they overstimulate your brain's reward system. And I'll do another whole video on this too, but reducing your motivation, and even impacting mood and testosterone over time. This can also lead to anxiety and depression. Men need testosterone to feel happy. It's one of their best source. So addressing this off-limit topic, I'm going to dive in even a little bit deeper here. How does this happen? So video games provide huge dopamine spikes. So we're just going to talk gaming first. Provide huge dopamine spikes, which feel rewarding again in the moment, but over time they are overstimulating if played excessively. They lead to lack of motivation, mood swings, decline in testosterone, depression, anxiety. It's just important to strike that balance. Encourage yourself or the younger men in your life to spend time on other activities that really build real world skills and boost testosterone, like your sports, the outdoor activities, everything we just talked about. All right. Finally, I want to address pornography. And we can put, some of the other ones that would be bad to do excessive is your gambling, over drinking. But I just want to focus strictly on pornography because it's at our fingertips these days. When I was growing up, I remember boys in my school would talk about Playboy, right? That was really it, was Playboy back then, or if maybe some VHS video that somebody would find, but I don't know. I never saw those. Now you can accidentally have porn pop up on your computers, your phone, or you can search it and instantly have it. So the reason that this is a struggle is because watching porn can create a massive dopamine surge. So instead of fostering a true connection with a real woman, it can desensitize a man's brain and reward system. So like, again, this excessive dopamine surge makes it harder to experience pleasure from everyday activities. It can become addictive, and then it's taking away from, your joy of everyday activities and much harder to bond emotionally or physically with a partner. So if you're a dad, maybe this isn't an issue for you, but if you're a dad, these are conversations to start having with your sons early. Maybe even just, creating awareness without shame, of course, because it's just so much more accessible these days. So we really want to create a culture where there's no shame about it, helping the next generation build healthier habits for intimacy and connection. That's really my goal here. And I know, again, this is such a topic that isn't spoke about. I mean, you're not going to have a dinner topic about this, but it's the point of this podcast is to be addressing, I quote this, off limit topics that are hard topics to talk about. I'm just going to encourage us to do it in the right space and time. All right, guys. So that's your strategy for success. Know your testosterone, learn her hormonal rhythms, and make the right moves at the right time. If you enjoyed this episode, hit subscribe, share it with a friend. You could even share it with your son. Heck. And don't miss episode 15, where we flip the focus to women. I'm Elle, and this is Off Limits. I'll see you next time.